He let me bathe him, and that's when care turned into love. I still remember the exact second the water hit his skin, the way his breath hitched, the way his eyes found mine like he was asking for permission to exist in that moment. The bathroom was small, steam curling against the mirror, the air thick with the scent of soap and something softer, something I couldn't name yet. His shoulders were tense under my hands, his back a landscape of old scars and new bruises from too many nights spent working, too many mornings spent pretending he was fine. "You don't have to do this," he said, voice low, rough like he hadn't slept. "I can manage." "You can't," I answered, and my own voice surprised me, steady, certain. "Not tonight. Let me." For a heartbeat he didn't move. Then he exhaled, long and slow, and nodded once. That single nod felt like a door opening in a house I'd been walking around for years, never knowing which room held the light. I dipped the cloth into the warm water, wrung it out, and pressed it gently to the curve of his shoulder. He flinched, just a little, then relaxed under my touch. The silence between us wasn't empty. It was heavy with everything we hadn't said. Every pass of the cloth over his skin felt like a confession I wasn't ready to speak out loud. When I reached his chest, his hand caught mine. Not hard, not desperate, just enough to stop me. His fingers were cold, trembling slightly. He didn't look at me, just stared at the water dripping from the cloth onto the tiled floor. "Eli," he said, my name sounding different in that room, softer, like it belonged there. "If we do this, if you keep doing things like this, I don't know what I'll do." I should have let go. I should have made a joke, lightened the moment, pretended I didn't feel the way my heart hammered against my ribs. Instead, I turned my hand in his, lacing our fingers together. The water dripped from the cloth, landing on our joined hands, warm against my skin. "Then don't try to know," I said. "Just be here." He closed his eyes. For a moment, I thought he'd pull away. Instead, he leaned forward, just enough that his forehead rested against my shoulder. His breath fanned across my neck, unsteady, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen from him. The world outside that bathroom ceased to exist. There was only the sound of water, the beat of our hearts, and the terrifying, beautiful certainty that something between us had shifted forever. I didn't kiss him then. Not yet. But I held him, and he let me. And in that small, steam-filled room, with the night pressing against the window and the city humming somewhere far away, care stopped being just care. It became something else. Something I couldn't take back. His name is Julian. I've known him since we were 18, since the first day of college when he walked into the dorm common room with a duffel bag slung over one shoulder, and a look on his face that said he'd already survived more than anyone in that building could imagine. He didn't smile much back then. He didn't need to. There was something about the way he carried himself, quiet, watchful, like he was always measuring the distance between himself and the exit, that made people notice him without him trying. I noticed him. We weren't friends right away. We were just there. Two boys in a sea of louder, brighter students, both of us a little too tired, a little too careful. We shared a lab section in introductory chemistry. He sat in the back, I sat in the middle. We didn't talk the first week. The second week, he forgot his goggles. I handed him mine. He looked at me like I'd offered him something dangerous. "Thanks," he said, voice flat. "Don't mention it," I answered and meant it. By the third week, we were sharing notes. By the fourth, we were eating lunch together in the cafeteria, sitting at the same corner table, the one with the wobbly leg that Julian always fixed with a folded napkin before we sat down. He never asked why I chose that table. I never asked why he always scanned the room before sitting. We just fit. We became best friends in that slow, quiet way that feels inevitable in hindsight. We studied together, ate together, walked home together when the campus buses stopped running. He worked nights at a diner off campus. I worked weekends at the library. We were both broke, both tired, both trying to outrun things we didn't talk about. I knew his tells. The way his jaw tightened when someone mentioned family. The way he'd go still, almost frozen, if a door slammed too hard. The way he'd deflect with humor whenever I got too close to asking the real questions. I didn't push. I learned to read the silence between his words instead. He knew mine too. The way I'd tap my pen against my thigh when I was anxious. The way I'd over-explain things when I was trying not to show how much I cared. The way I'd look at him when I thought he wasn't paying attention, like I was trying to memorize the shape of his profile. We never talked about the fact that we were both boys who noticed other boys. We never talked about the way my stomach flipped when he laughed, or the way his eyes lingered on me a second too long when I was explaining something I cared about. We just existed. Together. Until the night everything changed. It started with a call. I was in the library, stacking returned books, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Julian's name lit up the screen. I answered immediately. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "You off shift?" There was a pause. Then, "Eli. Can you come over?" His voice was wrong. Too quiet. Too careful. "Are you okay?" I asked, already grabbing my bag. "I'm fine," he said, and I knew he wasn't. "Just, please. Come over." I didn't ask questions. I didn't wait. I told my supervisor I had to leave, grabbed my coat, and ran. Julian's apartment was a basement studio behind an old house, the kind of place that smelled like damp wood and old carpet. The lock on the door had been broken for months. He'd been too tired to fix it, too wary of landlords to complain. I'd helped him wedge a chair under the handle at night, a temporary solution that became routine. That night, the chair was on the floor. The door was open a crack. My heart stopped. "Julian?" I called, pushing the door open. He was on the couch, curled on his side, one arm wrapped around his middle. His shirt was torn, his lip split, a bruise blooming along his jaw. He looked up when I came in, eyes glassy, like he hadn't slept in days. "Hey," he said, voice rough. "You came." I crossed the room in 3 strides, dropping to my knees beside the couch. "What happened?" He looked away. "Nothing. Just a bad night." "Julian!" My voice cracked. "Tell me." He exhaled, long and slow, like he was trying to decide how much truth he could afford. "Guy at the diner. Customer. Got angry. Said some things. I didn't." He cut himself off, shaking his head. "I didn't want to make it worse." "Make what worse?" I asked, anger rising in my chest. "You got hurt. That's not making it worse. That's... I can't lose this job, Eli," he said, voice sharp. "I can't. I don't have anywhere else to go." The words hit me like a punch. I knew he was struggling. I knew he was barely making rent. I didn't know he was this close to the edge. I reached out, gently touching his arm. "You're not alone," I said. "You have me." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was seeing me differently. Like he was letting himself believe me. "I know," he whispered. That's why I called you." I helped him up, guided him to the bathroom. He was unsteady on his feet, leaning on me more than he usually would. I didn't mind. I turned on the tap, tested the water, grabbed a clean towel. "You don't have to do this," he said again, voice low. "I know," I answered. "But I want to." And that's when he let me bathe him. After the bath, I helped him into a clean shirt, one of mine that he'd borrowed weeks ago and never returned. It hung loosely on his frame, the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, like he was waiting for me to tell him what to do next. I didn't. I just sat beside him, close enough that our shoulders touched. "You should sleep," I said softly. "I can't," he answered. "Every time I close my eyes I see him. The way he looked at me. The things he said." I didn't ask what the man had said. I didn't need to. I'd heard that tone before. The one that made you feel small, like you were something to be used and discarded. "Then don't close them," I said. Just stay here. With me. He nodded once. We lay down on the bed, fully clothed, facing each other. The room was dark, the only light coming from the street lamp outside, casting long shadows across the ceiling. Eli? He whispered. Yeah? Why do you stay? With me. I'm a lot. I know I am. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something in my chest crack open. Because you're you. I said. Because you're the first person who's ever made me feel like I'm not too much. Like I'm enough. He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely audible. I don't know how to do this, he said. I don't know how to be loved. I reached out, gently brushing my fingers against his cheek. Then let me teach you, I said. He closed his eyes, leaning into my touch. For a moment I thought he might cry. Instead, he exhaled long and slow, like he was letting go of something he'd been holding onto for years. We didn't kiss that night. Not yet. But we stayed like that, close enough to feel each other's breath, close enough to know we weren't alone. And when sleep finally came, it came for both of us, tangled together in the quiet dark. I woke up first. Julian was still asleep, his face relaxed in a way I rarely saw. The bruise on his jaw had darkened overnight, a stark reminder of what had happened. I wanted to wake him gently, to make coffee, to pretend everything was normal. Instead, I just watched him. I'd done this before, of course. Watched him when he wasn't looking. Memorized the way his eyelashes cast shadows on his cheeks, the way his lips parted slightly when he breathed. But this time felt different. This time, I wasn't just watching my best friend. I was watching someone I loved. The word hit me like a punch. I loved him. Not in the way you love a friend. Not in the way you love someone who's been there for you. I loved him in the way that made my chest ache, in the way that made me want to protect him, to hold him, to never let go. I didn't know what to do with that. I shifted slightly, trying to move without waking him. His hand caught mine, fingers tightening around mine like he was afraid I'd disappear. Don't go, he murmured, still half asleep. I'm not going anywhere, I answered. He opened his eyes then, looking at me with a clarity that made my heart stutter. You stay, he said, like he was surprised. I told you I would, I said. He smiled then, small and tentative, but real. It was the first time I'd seen him smile since the night before. It felt like a victory. We made coffee together, moving around the small kitchen in a rhythm we'd perfected over months. He leaned against the counter, watching me pour the water, like he was trying to memorize the way I moved. Eli? He said. Yeah? About last night, thank you. For everything. I looked at him, meeting his eyes. You don't have to thank me, I said. I want to be there. For you. Always. He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely audible. I don't know if I deserve that, he said. I set the coffee down, crossing the small space between us. You do, I said. You do, Julian. More than anyone I know. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was letting himself believe me. Like he was letting himself want this. He reached out, gently touching my hand. I don't know how to do this, he said again. But I want to try. With you. I turned my hand in his, lacing our fingers together. Then we'll figure it out, I said. Together. And for the first time, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could. The days that followed were different. We didn't talk about what had happened that night. We didn't need to. It was in the way he looked at me, in the way his hand lingered on mine a second too long, in the way he'd find excuses to be close to me. We were still best friends. Still studying together, eating together, walking home together. But now, there was something else. Something unspoken. Something that made my heart race every time he smiled at me. He started showing up at my dorm more often, bringing coffee, sitting on my bed while I studied. He'd lean over my shoulder, pointing out mistakes in my notes, his breath fanning across my neck. I'd try to focus, but all I could think about was the way his body pressed against mine, the way his voice dropped when he was close. One night, he stayed later than usual. We were sitting on my bed, textbooks spread out between us, when he suddenly went still. "Eli," he said, voice low. "Yeah?" He looked at me, really looked at me, and I felt my heart stutter. I think I'm falling for you," he said. The words hit me like a punch. I'd known, of course. I'd felt it in every touch, every glance, every moment we'd shared. But hearing him say it, it made it real. I reached out, gently touching his cheek. "I think I've already fallen," I said. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned forward, closing the small space between us. Our foreheads touched, our breaths mingling in the quiet room. I could feel his heartbeat against my chest, fast and unsteady. "Can I?" he whispered. I didn't let him finish. I closed the distance, pressing my lips to his. It wasn't a movie kiss. It wasn't perfect. It was soft, tentative, filled with all the things we hadn't said. But it was real. And it was ours. When we pulled apart, he was smiling. Really smiling. "I've wanted to do that for so long," he said. "Me too," I answered. We didn't go further that night. We didn't need to. We just stayed like that, close enough to feel each other's breath, close enough to know we weren't alone. And for the first time, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could last. Of course, it couldn't be that simple. The first sign of trouble came a week later. I was walking home from class when I saw him. Julian. Standing outside the diner, talking to a man I didn't recognize. The man was older, well-dressed, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Julian was nodding, looking down at the ground, like he was trying to disappear. I stopped, watching from across the street. The man reached out, touching Julian's arm. Julian flinched, pulling away. The man laughed, saying something that made Julian's shoulders tense. I wanted to cross the street. I wanted to pull Julian away, to tell him he didn't have to talk to that man. But I didn't. I just watched, my heart pounding in my chest. When the man finally left, Julian stood there for a moment, staring at the ground. Then he turned, walking in the opposite direction. I followed. He didn't notice me until I caught up to him, grabbing his arm. "Julian," I said. "Who was that?" He looked at me, eyes guarded. "No one," he said. "Just a customer." "He touched you," I said, anger rising in my chest. You flinched. "I'm fine," he said, pulling away. "I can handle it." "Handle what?" I asked. "Julian, what's going on?" He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely audible. He offered me a job. A better one. More money. But I don't know." "But what?" I pressed. He looked away. He wants more than just a job, Eli. And I don't know if I can say no." The words hit me like a punch. "You can't," I said. "You have to. You don't owe him anything." "I know," he said. "But what if I do? What if I need this? What if I can't afford to say no?" I reached out, grabbing his hand. "Then we'll figure it out," I said. "Together. You don't have to do this alone." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was letting himself believe me. Like he was letting himself want this. "I don't know how to do this," he said again. "But I want to try. With you." I turned my hand in his, lacing our fingers together. "Then we'll figure it out," I said. "Together." And for the first time, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could. The next few weeks were hard. Julian took the job. Not the one the man offered, but a different one. A better one. At a cafe downtown, with a manager who actually cared about his employees. He still worked nights, but he came home smiling more often. He started sleeping better. Started laughing more. But something else changed, too. He started pulling away. Not all at once. Not in a way I could point to. But in small, subtle ways. He stopped showing up at my dorm as often. Stopped answering my texts right away. Stopped looking at me the way he used to. I tried not to worry. I told myself he was just busy. Just adjusting to the new job. Just needing space. But the space between us grew. And with it, the silence. One night, I showed up at his apartment, unannounced. He looked surprised to see me, like he'd forgotten I existed. "Eli," he said. "Hey. I didn't know you were coming." "I know," I said. I wanted to see you." He nodded, stepping aside to let me in. The apartment was clean, neater than I'd ever seen it. But it felt empty. Like something was missing. We sat on the couch, not touching, not looking at each other. The silence between us was heavy, filled with everything we hadn't said. "Are you okay?" I asked finally. "I'm fine," he said. "Just tired." "Julian," I said. "Talk to me." He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely audible. "I don't know how to do this," he said. "I don't know how to be with you. Without ruining it." "You're not going to ruin it," I said. "We're not going to ruin it." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was letting himself believe me. Like he was letting himself want this. "I don't know how to do this," he said again. "But I want to try. With you." I reached out, gently touching his hand. "Then we'll figure it out," I said. Together. And for the first time in weeks, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday. I was walking home from class when I saw them. Julian and the man from the diner. Standing outside the cafe, talking. The man was smiling, touching Julian's arm. Julian was smiling back. I stopped, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to cross the street. I wanted to pull Julian away. But I didn't. I just watched, my feet rooted to the ground. When the man finally left, Julian turned, walking in the opposite direction. I followed. He didn't notice me until I caught up to him, grabbing his arm. "Julian," I said. "Who was that?" He looked at me, eyes guarded. "No one," he said. "Just a friend." "He touched you," I said, anger rising in my chest. You smiled. "I'm fine," he said, pulling away. "I can handle it." "Handle what?" I asked. "Julian, what's going on?" He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely audible. He's just a friend, Eli. Nothing more." "Then why were you smiling?" I asked. "Why were you letting him touch you?" Julian looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was hurt. Like he was angry. "Because I'm allowed to have friends," he said. "Because I'm allowed to live my life. Without you questioning every move I make." The words hit me like a punch. "I'm not questioning you," I said. I'm worried about you." "I don't need you to worry about me," he said. "I need you to trust me." "I do trust you," I said. I don't trust him." Julian looked away. "Maybe you should," he said. "Because if you can't, then maybe we shouldn't be doing this." The words hit me like a punch. "What are you saying?" I asked. "I'm saying maybe we need space," he said. Maybe we're moving too fast." I felt my heart break. "Julian," I said. "Please. Don't do this." He didn't answer. He just turned, walking away, leaving me standing in the rain, watching him disappear. The days that followed were quiet. Julian didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't show up at my dorm. I tried to reach out, but he didn't answer. I tried to give him space, but the silence between us grew. I told myself he just needed time, that he'd come back when he was ready. But the days turned into weeks. And the silence turned into something else. Something heavier. I stopped going to the cafe. Stopped walking past his apartment. Stopped pretending I was okay. One night, I was sitting in my dorm, staring at the ceiling, when my phone buzzed. A text from Julian. Can we talk? I didn't answer right away. I didn't know what to say. But finally I typed back. Yes. Where? My place. Now? If you can. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my coat, running out the door. Julian's apartment was dark when I arrived. The door was open a crack, like he'd been expecting me. I pushed it open, stepping inside. He was sitting on the couch, staring at the floor. He looked up when I came in, eyes tired, like he hadn't slept in days. Hey, he said, voice rough. Hey, I answered. We didn't touch. Didn't look at each other. Just sat there, in the silence. I'm sorry, he said finally. For everything. For pushing you away. For not trusting you. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something in my chest crack open. I'm sorry too, I said. For not trusting you. For making you feel like you couldn't have friends. He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely audible. I was scared, he said. I was scared of losing you. Of ruining what we had. You didn't ruin it, I said. We didn't ruin it. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was letting himself believe me. Like he was letting himself want this. I don't know how to do this, he said again. But I want to try. With you. I reached out, gently touching his hand. Then we'll figure it out, I said. Together. And for the first time in weeks, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could. The real turning point came on a cold December night. I was walking home from class when I saw him. Julian. Standing outside the cafe, talking to the man again. But this time, something was different. Julian was angry. Shouting. The man was laughing, like he was enjoying it. I stopped, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to cross the street. I wanted to pull Julian away. But I didn't. I just watched. When the man finally left, Julian turned, walking in the opposite direction. I followed. He didn't notice me until I caught up to him, grabbing his arm. Julian, I said. What was that? He looked at me, eyes red, like he'd been crying. He wouldn't leave me alone, he said. He kept offering me things. Money. Gifts. And when I said no, he threatened me. The words hit me like a punch. Threatened you? I asked. How? He said he'd tell my landlord. About us. About what we are. I felt my blood run cold. He can't do that, I said. That's illegal. I know, Julian said. But I was scared. I was scared of losing my apartment. Of losing you. I reached out, grabbing his hand. You're not going to lose me, I said. I'm not going anywhere. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was letting himself believe me. Like he was letting himself want this. I don't know how to do this, he said again. But I want to try. With you. I turned my hand in his, lacing our fingers together. Then we'll figure it out, I said. Together. And for the first time, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could. We went to the police the next day. Julian told them everything. About the man. About the threats. About the way he'd been treated. They took it seriously. They promised to look into it. to protect him. We walked home together, hand in hand. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the street. But for the first time in weeks, I felt light. Like I could breathe again. "I'm proud of you," I said. For telling them. For being brave." He looked at me, smiling. "I couldn't have done it without you," he said. You made me believe I could." I stopped, turning to face him. "Julian," I said. I love you. I've loved you for so long. And I don't want to lose you." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned forward, closing the small space between us. Our foreheads touched, our breaths mingling in the quiet street. "I love you too," he said. "I've loved you for so long. And I don't want to lose you either." I closed the distance, pressing my lips to his. It wasn't a movie kiss. It wasn't perfect. It was soft, tentative, filled with all the things we hadn't said. But it was real. And it was ours. When we pulled apart, he was smiling. Really smiling. "I've wanted to do that for so long," he said. "Me too," I answered. We walked home together, hand in hand. The sun had set, the stars were out. But for the first time, I felt safe. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The months that followed were different. We didn't hide. Didn't pretend. We held hands in public. Kissed in the rain. Laughed in the sun. We were happy. Julian's landlord never found out. The man never came back. We moved on. Together. One night, we were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, when Julian suddenly went still. "Eli," he said. "Yeah?" He looked at me, really looked at me, and something in his expression shifted. Like he was letting himself believe. Like he was letting himself want this. "I don't know how to do this," he said. "But I want to try. With you. Forever." I reached out, gently touching his cheek. "Then we'll figure it out," I said. "Together. Forever." He leaned forward, closing the small space between us. Our foreheads touched, our breaths mingling in the quiet room. "I love you," he said. "I love you too," I answered. And for the first time, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could last. He let me bathe him, and that's when care turned into love. But what happened after the threats, after the police, after the first real "I love you"? Did we really leave the past behind, or was there still something waiting in the shadows? If you want to know what happens next, the secrets Julian never told me, the night everything almost fell apart again, and the moment I finally understood why he really let me care for him that night.